Hello and welcome to another episode of Debriefing. I'm your host, Lucky Fox Zero, and with me tonight is No Green Knights.
Hello.
And Radiant Arkwolf.
Hola, briefcakes.
On tonight's episode, we'll be playing through Spartan Ops Episode 10 and Chapter 1. The topic for discussion is the Spartan Ops characters. So if you could get us started, Nogri.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Radiant here with the Majestic and Crimson. Okay. So, at the beginning of Spartan Ops, you are introduced to the plethora of new Spartan teams, the Spartan teams. Specifically, Spartan Team Crimson and Spartan Team Majestic. The problem, of course, is it's not clear which team you're a part of. It was only after the fact that I figured out, oh, I'm a part of Crimson, even though you spent all this time talking with and dealing with Majestic. And then towards the end of the Spartan Ops season, with the Thorn arc, he becomes briefly a part of Team Majestic, even though he was a part of Team Majestic, and so it's just confusing. Which really took me out of the character development, because I didn't really understand which group I was supposed to identify with. So as far as storytelling, that seems like a misstep for me. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they have a fair amount of those with the kind of development of Spartan Ops. One of which is it is very much a very narrow frame that they're working within as far as the storyline. Because it seems like the UNSC, like, the reason they're back is, they brought back science teams to kind of figure out what's going on with Requiem, as well as to kind of eliminate the remaining Storm Covenant and Prometheans on Requiem. And I mean, the Storm Covenant is there, obviously, with Jul Mdama to grab the key to the Forerunner locations throughout the rest of the galaxy. And so that's their big thing. And it's very clear-cut as to what they're doing. Whereas with the UNSC, it's kind of like, we're here doing stuff. We're a thing. So it's unclear as to how Jul became, the kingpin of the Storm Covenants, because the last time that you see him, he is kind of second or third in command. There's a warrior monk that kind of runs the show. We don't really know what happened to him unless it gets explained in the books. Which haven't come out. The book that it would have happened in hasn't come out yet.
His name was Telcam.
It would be the third of the Karen Travis novels. Which are terrible, by the way. But that's another whole thing. And on top of that, we see Jul kind of fall in line with the Didact, which makes a lot of sense, knowing what we know about the Covenant. The problem is, he does some, whack stuff, like leaving his troops behind, and destroying Requiem, which is completely out of character, and as soon as that happened, I was like, nope, I don't believe any of this.
Because if your whole religion is all about Forerunner tech, you're not about to destroy it, especially since the Arbiter got the mark of shame for letting the humans destroy Halo.
That's right. He didn't do it himself, and he still got the mark of shame, and became the Arbiter, which was supposed to kill him. So he's like, I'm awesome enough, I'll survive. Agreed. Going back to our discussion on the Storm Covenant, they have very finite resources, and he seems very, very willing to expend a lot of them for no particular reason.
Which again doesn't make sense since he was a military commander.
Yes. So,
It's one
he
thing.
doesn't really.
It's one thing when you're the regular Covenant and you have oceans and oceans of people. Oh, a million grunts? Whatever. We have a whole planet of grunts. We have 2 planets of grunts. Where now they're a faction of whatever he can gather together from the different species. So resources are very valuable, both technological and personnel. And they just don't seem to act like that. They just throw everything away all the time. And that made sense for the Covenant. It does not make sense for the Storm.
Agreed. But, yeah, so he has a very clear-cut purpose. Whereas with a lot of the UNSC personnel that we encounter, they don't really seem to have, very clear-cut purposes.
Like Spartan Miller.
Like Spartan Miller, who, he's a full-blown Spartan from everything we've seen. And so he should be, out in the field, tearing it up, but is instead being utilized as, a secretary.
Well, he's a guy that's running ops. He's a handler. So you do want military personnel doing that, but a full-blown Spartan in armor sitting at a desk, managing intel and making sure missions go okay, you don't need that. You need an old grizzled sergeant that's seen everything and knows everything, but is missing his legs and half his arm or something. So it's like you wasted all of this tech and all of this experience on a guy who's going to fly a desk.
Indeed.
And is Palmer's whipping boy.
Oh, Palmer. Palmer is a resident favorite here at Debriefing.
Right, yeah.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, goes down smooth.
She's absolutely she's busy all the time for no particular reason. Which, I'd understand, if you started out, at first, just to, kind of prove you're, one of the guys, and you can handle yourself as far as, being, a commander of these Spartans, or these elite troops. But, she stays, even when you're, doing the job and winning and not failing at your mission.
Unlike I am, I'm failing at my mission. Yeah, you can have success after success, and she's still, a jerk to you for no reason. It's one thing if you fail, and it's one thing to kind of set up the dynamic of, I'm your superior, and I'm going to give you a hard time, but deep down I care about you. No, that is not the impression I get at all from Sarah Palmer. I just get the impression of, oh, you're a terrible person? Cool. Awesome. Why am I listening to you? Oh, wait, I don't. After, the 3rd mission, I'm like, I tune you out every time you come in and talk. Because you're just giving me this garbage for no reason.
Pretty much.
And it's one thing if there's a precedent for it, but there isn't in the Halo world. Of course, I was looking forward to having a female Sergeant Johnson or another Miranda Keyes, where you could kind of identify with and have respect for as a character, and there'd be some more development throughout the rest of the Halo games, and something to look forward to in 5 and 6. But instead, it's I just pray and hope that I never see or hear Sarah Palmer again after this game.
Agreed. But it seems to be a fairly common trend amongst, especially the personnel of the Infinity.
Well, everyone there's got a case of the jerkitis.
Yes.
Including Roland, who I don't think can be infected by human diseases. He just... Roland, in the Halo universe, the AI's avatar is supposed to match its personality, but it's chosen by the AI. And his does not. He does not seem like a World War II era pilot to me. And I would expect him to use more in the way of lingo or anecdotes or something like that.
I think it would be kind of fun if he was British. Good show, old boy. We've got tangos in. it's time for tea. And like that could be neat, but you don't have to take it there. I was just trying to give an example. But like,
Yeah.
he doesn't use any sort of like World War II era lingo, and he doesn't show any sort of pilot lingo either. He's just like a jerk. He even like makes fun of science. He's freaking made of science. Like what? This is stupid. Like I liked Cortana, albeit she got annoying sometimes. She at least told me whether the lake was made of a volcanic eruption or by some other means. I mean, I was busy trying to kill stuff, but I feel like Cortana actually cared about me and cared about humanity and was just kind of nerdy, and that was okay. Where I feel like Roland is just a jerk and doesn't really care about anything.
Which I think could be a common problem associated with, for example, Halsey, especially how she's portrayed in Spartan Ops. As far as her not seeming to care about anybody.
I don't really like how Halsey has, I don't know, been dumbed down, because I felt like she was a lot smarter, a lot more strategic in what she did in the books and in previous games. For example, when she takes over the ship with and she takes control of Roland, she so quickly loses control over Roland and loses her leverage on the ship and doesn't really gain anything. Now, I could understand things coming together and she loses control of Roland because he's a new AI or has some sort of thing or something. You know, you could explain that. That's fine. But she would get something out of the exchange. She would get some connection. She would get some control, some leverage. She's not going to go back to square one. She's smart enough to make sure she always wins something. You know,
Somehow, yeah.
she always takes a step forward. And I just don't see that with this portrayal of Halsey. And I don't see the mom-pewterness of caring and love of the Spartans and wanting to take care of the Spartans and to a larger extent, take care of humanity.
Yeah. They dumbed her down and kind of made her discongruent, especially with the character development that Bungie and Microsoft have made with her through the books, through the journal and Reach, and also through just Strike and just on the other books. And the dumbing down of her really started with Halo 4, and it's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because you have all this character development, and now you're kind of going back on that for no good reason. I mean, the whole arc of, well, you gotta stand, Sarah Palmer's hatred of Halsey is unfounded, because Halsey saved your ass. Without Halsey, you wouldn't be a Spartan.
Without Master Chief, and consequently Halsey, we would have, as humanity, we would have lost the Covenant War. We would not exist. And it seems...
I think she was being fitted to a mold that her character's not well suited to. It's not great storytelling, just because, she would be, thinking more steps ahead than she seems to be in the game.
So, to wrap up, overall, I feel like the Spartan Ops story is fairly shallow, that the level design and the story construction is really quantity over quality, and like Nogri said, they had this idea that they wanted, and they're just kind of trying to cram in the characters into this mold to make what they want happen, rather than trying to weave a story that incorporates and accentuates the characters in the history that were already there. So, who is your favorite character from Spartan Ops?
Myself. Like, honestly, there's nothing here that's redeemable in my mind. Every character has a critical flaw, either with canon or their own development or lack thereof. So none of them. It's a wash for me. I'm the best character.
Fair enough. I mean, Lasky does show up, so I'm going to have to choose Lasky on that one.
I'm also going to have to go with Lasky, because he's the only legitimate person, and yeah, he's the only legitimate person, both as a commander and as, like, just a guy. So that sums up this episode of Debriefing. Make sure to leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you here next week.